Higher sex principles. It is generally understood that sexual intercourse is limited to an actual cohabitation between males and females of each species. This concept is so fundamentally a part of our present knowledge that it will shock the reader to learn that every physical relation between any two oppositely polarized units of nature in the universe is a low-voltage sex relation. Cohabitation is merely a sufficiently high-voltage sex union to short-circuit the two poles of the human electric battery. When this happens, the human battery is dead until recharged by the heartbeat and the breathing process, just as the electric battery is dead from the same cause until recharged by the pulsing heartbeat of the electric current. A contact between opposite units is not necessary for sex relation, for the contact is already there. It is perpetually there in the electric union which connects every corpuscle in the universe with every other corpuscle. Every positive corpuscle in the universe is constantly interchanging with every negative one. This sex union and its continuity is what keep the universe a continuous one. That is what constitutes the universal heartbeat of God's body. In other words, low-voltage sexual cohabitation is a continued and perpetual interchange of all things in nature with all other things. It is through sex union of all things with all other things that this universe is perpetually repeated in all of its forms. High-voltage sex unions between two mates who are sufficiently balanced to be potent will reproduce forms like the two, but the perpetual sex union of all things which takes place continually between all things actually determines the forms of all things. Universal electrical interchange between universal opposites determines all forms and gradually transforms all forms. Good examples of such transformations through universal interchange are the transformation of all animal and vegetable forms in various ages, such as the Carboniferous age and the age of huge reptiles, such as the dinosaur. Forms of animal and vegetable life had to conform with atmospheric conditions arising out of the youth of the planet and its nearer proximity to the sun. In other words, light pressures conditions all forms, and the light of dual electric waves interweaves those forms into the patterns which polarized pressures of light determine for them. Transformation of man. A cultured man will be transformed mentally and physically by sufficiently intimate social intercourse with thieves, thugs, and prostitutes. The change is effected through electrical interchange of man and the environment, and that interchange is also sex. Sexual intercourse will hasten the transformation and also reproduce duplicate forms, but the social intercourse alone will produce and reproduce similar forms of all units sexually affected by the increasingly higher voltage of close contact between the units of any environment. The hills become a part of the man who lives in them, and a man becomes a part of the hills. Such a man loves nature's rhythms playing on the harps of the winds. The poet is transformed into the appearance of a poet because of his intercourse with all beautiful things. All intercourse between all material things is electrical. All electrical expression is divided into sexed pairs, positive and negative. The universe is one unit. All things in it are all other things. All are involved in each other. The basis of positive and negative electrical expression is sex. Sex is of all things from the beginning. Sex begins when light begins. Sex is desire for the appearance of being, which constitutes the appearance of existence. Nothing can be without the desire to be. All things are which desire to be. Desire dominates all thinking. Desire dominates all matter. All desire is sex desire. The greatest desire of all creating things, organic and inorganic, is to increase their appearance of separability from all other things in the universe. In other words, to stand out more and more conspicuously as a significant individual, rather than a part of another one. The building of one's individual separate self is the most difficult attribute to wrest from nature, and the most difficult to maintain. Millions of years of indefatigable work are required for a man to unfold from an insignificant individual to a genius. Each individual self is the sum total of all his sex decisions. Each person is what he is because of his sex decisions. To insulate oneself from all unfavorable sex unions, voluntary, involuntary, social, and sexual, and to contact only that which will build a self into a great self, is the supreme achievement of each moment of each life. The universal thinker of all thoughts which flows through us is forever planning perfect expression of the divine ideal in each of us. The entirety of universal power is concentrated upon each one of us to fashion us into the forms of our desire. The form of our desire is forever unfolding into the universe of form to manifest our thinking as co-creator with God's thinking, and refolding into the seed of us to perpetually repeat that form. When man becomes sufficiently ennobled as a self-creation to become a conscious co-creator with the Universal One, it should be his supreme task to perfect himself by using the free will given him for that purpose. He then unfolds in the pattern of his desire. He himself molds himself mentally into a genius or a moron, as he chooses, or physically into a Hercules or atrophied, impotent weakling, also as he chooses. The priceless gift of free will implies a trusteeship of worthiness to use it constructively. For if used destructively, the whole universe will help one to retrograde as it will help one to progress. Our hell is self-made, even as our heaven is. Each person should guard his interchange with all other people and things in his environment and choose that alone which ennobles his self. This can be achieved only by association with other noble selves of his own kind, and with beautiful things of his environment, and with still more beautiful imaginings of his inspired inner vision. Such well-chosen intercourse will transform each self from moment to moment, from the attained perfection of this moment to the attained perfection of the next moment. The greater and more far-reaching transformer of a self is balanced sexual intercourse. One's entire pattern of self-form and even one's immortal rhythm of eons of building is instantly and violently changed by every sexual intercourse with any unbalanced other half. The rhythm of each becomes the rhythm of both. Promiscuity in either social or sexual intercourse is the greatest destroyer of individuality of self or of type or of acquired power. Promiscuity with unbalanced mates condemns one to the backward path. All things are divided into equal halves. All halves are unbalanced. Each type should seek its balancing other half for its self-recreation or rebirth through balance. That is one meaning and purpose of sex. The other meaning is reproduction. Sex union is mentally creative as well as physically.